Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast, where we take a look inside the lives of the accomplished and successful businessmen and women. We'll get up close and personal with the founders of booming startups. So lean in and prepare to carry away something to skyrocket your own business. Please subscribe to our show and do leave us a review. It means a lot to us. Now, here's your host, Rajiv.
Hey listeners, welcome to the Entrepreneur Talk Show. I'm your host Rajiv Unikrishnan, and this is the show where we talk about entrepreneurship and speak to great founders, entrepreneurs, and investors. Today we have the Shona Sinha, the Chief Creative Director and founder at The Digital Rose. Welcome, Shona.
Hi.
Just a brief intro. So, The Digital Rose is an online company helping Indian bloggers and influencers reach the next level. It is at India's forefront of creating the next generation of a blogging media company and redefining how Indian bloggers operate in the global blogosphere. Also, just to mention, the Entrepreneur Podcast, in partnership with the Digital Rose, has partnered for a 6-part series showcasing the journey of blogging with 6 of the Rose bloggers starting next week, hopefully. More on that later. Just before we go on to the product, again, welcome, Shona. Do let us know if any gaps in the intro and what's going on in your world today.
Just enjoying Bangalore and the demonetization issues at the moment.
All right.
While trying to juggle the blogging industry of India.
All right. So before we get into product, first, any passions or time for any passions outside of work?
I recently got into kickboxing, which was a great way of, exploring, getting things more active. Because as we know, the digital world, you just sit in front of an iPhone or a computer and that's all it is. So trying to move more towards active, going on hikes and stuff like that.
All right. So coming to the inevitable question is, what inspired the idea for Digital Rose?
So in India, blogging is growing. The influencers, aptly put, the influencers' influence is growing at a very high rate, and the market is very exciting. I jumped into this because I noticed via my social media feeds, Instagram feed, that the way brands were collaborating with these powerful influencers was quite boring. And it didn't really have a purpose behind it. So I really wanted to get in deep, fix both ends, how the brands were communicating through bloggers and the kind of quality of content that the bloggers were putting out as well.
Correct. Okay. And you had some experience in this space or in the technology space. How did you just come across, getting into this?
So when I graduated from the US, I moved back to India and I really wanted to explore the startup scene in India. It's so exciting right now, especially in Bangalore. It's about startups. So I started working at a marketing agency, and there what I noticed was that while dealing with clients, creativity was getting really nuzzled out, very liquefied. So by the time people were actually putting out their branding or their marketing out there, it wasn't really at par. So I started doing a lot of research, read a lot of books by great entrepreneurs and market heads, and realized that India has the potential to reach at the level that these authors were writing about in the Western world. So I wanted to make sure that this knowledge was tailored for Indian market, but also push the boundaries beyond what the Western world has done.
All right. And what would the vision be for the company?
The vision for the company is 2 parts. One part is actually giving the knowledge of the bloggers. So in India right now, people assume that if you open a WordPress account, you're a blogger.
Yeah.
And they want the success of, the top bloggers like Kiara Farhani or House of Misu or stuff like that. And that is not true. So we are working very hard at educating the bloggers to make them the best version of themselves. So they put out quality content out there, which the whole world can be proud of. On the other end, I want to make sure that when the brands collaborate with these influencers, there's an actual impact on their brand. It shouldn't just be, sending free products and getting a photo on Instagram. It should have something to assure that there's a brand recall or getting what your brand persona is all about.
Correct.
So I want to make sure that they both gel well together in the most knowledgeable way.
All right. And when you thought of this idea initially, I mean, was it only you to take this idea off the ground, or were any co-founders?
No, it's only me. So it involved a lot of back and forth with my dad and my brother because this is the second venture that I've started in the past 3 years. I started one while in college as well from my tiny dorm room. So it was, again, a very interesting aspect because this time I was going into services, something I hadn't explored before.
Correct.
So mostly I spoke to my father and my brother. My brother's in the venture capital world in the US, and my dad has around, I don't even know, 50 million years. That's what it seems like to me. Years of experience in strategy and working with, clients. So I moved back and forth with them a lot. And on the other end, I spoke to people around my age, people who are actually influenced by influencers.
Correct.
So I wanted to make sure that what the conversation was going on within our age group as well.
All right. So when you thought of the idea and actually developed something, or did you test it out with a few bloggers before you took it and made it full blown?
Yeah, to be dead honest, I think I probably changed the idea 3 times or 4 times before it actually became what it is. And every morning I wake up, I think of something else, and I feel like I can do this as well, but I have to push it back. But initially, we did do a pilot run with 10 bloggers, and that was very successful. The Daily Rosé is the email that we sent out every morning with specially curated content to make them better bloggers. That just went off the marks. They started telling their friends, their blogger friends, and we just kept getting emails. So we were like, okay, wait, we might have something here.
Correct.
Then we moved into the other phases because we wanted to make sure that we were keeping, even those 30 bloggers who had trusted us, to give them the best content before, just rushing through that.
Correct.
Like other brands often do.
Yeah. So how does the Digital Rosé work? What's your business model? I mean, how do you help your bloggers?
So our business model has many verticals. Our USP, or the thing that really sets us apart, we haven't found something like this in India especially, but
Correct.
The world, which I'm trying to hunt it down. There has to be like that. We are really focused on making the bloggers educated, which is the Daily Rosé. So the bloggers subscribe for a very small amount of $179 a month, which is priced around, a Starbucks coffee. And the idea is that you really believe in your blog enough to invest into your future.
Okay.
As any entrepreneur would. As an entrepreneur across the board, we buy books, we sign up for webinars and so many things. We actually pay to become better entrepreneurs.
Correct.
So I wanted to put that across to bloggers as well. So every morning at 6:30 a.m., they get varied kinds of content sent to their inbox. So, yesterday we were dealing with all kinds of typography. So, so that builds them, they get motivated, and, when they meet with brands, they know exactly what they're talking about.
Correct.
So if the brands tells them that, hey, how are you going to handle the SEO or something, they have the answers to give it back. They know exactly.
Okay. So you're educating the bloggers on how they should talk to their customers, basically.
Talk to their customers, how to grow their blog, how to grow their social media, how to take the photography better in the blog. Every day is changing. So we want to make sure that they're updated and doing the best that they can.
Okay.
And the second, which we are trying to introduce, which India is kind of wary of, but we are, again, in the educating field, is something called TDR Consulting, the Digital Rosé Consulting, which is all about giving you one-on-one guidance.
Okay, got it.
So we are very focused on making bloggers realize that, hey, if you expect to be paid for your services, you should start thinking of yourself as a small business owner.
Absolutely.
And as any small business owner, you always look for outside consulting, if it's for strategy or if it's for web designing or website designing, whatever it is, you always look outside for consulting. So we are putting that across to bloggers. So if you really want that one-on-one help, it might be, designing your logo, or it might be doing a web analysis or anything like that. We will be there for you.
And so you also have a shop that I saw online, right?
Yeah, so the shop is basically for subscribing for the
Okay, got it.
subscription and the consulting fee.
All right. So your growth has been pretty good. I mean, you have, I think, what, 100 plus Rose influencers. I'm sure it's a higher number now. And have you helped them a lot in increasing their following also?
The assurance which we got, which was very strong to us, was that a lot of the bloggers started writing back to us.
Okay.
So writing back to us with very small lines like, "Hey, guess what? I fixed my Instagram photography." And immediately my engagement, which is actually, comments and actually talking,
Yep.
automatically increased. And that was brilliant. I didn't even realize that, just changing the color of the Instagram photo could do that. So yes, the tips have definitely helped the bloggers not just improve their social media, but also improve the type of writing that they're doing in blogs. So, it could be very similar from something very small from like, using because is full spelling rather than how they spell it these days, BCUZ or something,
Okay.
So actually making sure that the quality of content has improved. And we focus on that a lot to make sure that the content is solid. So we do internal reviews of blogs. We give them one-on-one guidance just to assure the brands and the bloggers that, hey, you're doing well. Don't worry. Just keep pushing yourself.
Great. So your revenue model would be pure play subscription, right? As of now?
That's one. And then on the other end, we're working with brands as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So what sets us apart is because we are educating the bloggers, the brands are actually quite excited as well because they know it's not just that they're working with random bloggers they found on
Correct.
Instagram. They know that there's someone behind it. We have a rapport with the bloggers. So they are constantly in communication with us as well. So we do various different ways of interacting with the brands that can range from, directly reaching them by emails or event hosting and planning, creating influencer marketing campaigns, or we're thinking of adding something new which just went up on the site a week ago, actually starting influencer think tanks and focus groups.
Okay.
Which is very, I think, exciting because everyone wonders, is this lipstick shade going to work for the 824 fashionable girl, the beauty girl who's always interested in the new makeup?
Correct.
Just ask them. So I'm very focused on making sure that the guesswork is just out of the plan altogether. Just go out, ask them, get the right answer, and that's it.
All right. So what is your current count of your influencers or bloggers you have on site? Is it like crossing more than 100 today?
So we are at 122 influencers at the moment.
Oh, great. All right. And how has the feedback been from the brands? I mean, have you helped the brands a lot also from the feedback you've got?
Yeah, so the brands, 2-3 of the brands that we started off with, who I really appreciate because they put in trust when we were just there with an idea, and they immediately came back to us asking like, "Hey, what do we do next?" Because one of the ideas that we had was getting your products directly into the influencer's hands via the welcome bag. So every influencer who signs up with us gets a welcome bag for us to judge how they work with the products. So it's, that admission test almost that we did in college.
Correct.
And immediately when we sent 2-3 products, it just started lighting up on social media. And all the 3 brands were like, wait, why didn't we think of this before? So they've come back to us and they're like, let's do the next step. Let's go for the next step.
All right. What's your team size currently?
So currently we're at size of 3.
All
right. Me. Then we have a digital marketing strategist to kind of help on the brand side. And then there's someone to help with the blogger side, the communication with that blogger, keep that active, and social media.
Okay.
Otherwise, for like photographers and videographers, we thought we should keep it freelance because, if you need a black and white photographer, you don't want to hire someone who videographer. So we wanted to keep that flexible for everyone.
And quite a few partnerships with brands already?
So we have partnered with 5 brands
Five,
as of
okay.
yet, international and domestic. And we're looking at 3 more partnerships coming up in the next 2 months.
All right, great.
So it's a busy, busy time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good problem to have. Good problem to have.
So, just to inform everyone, so the Entrepreneur Podcast has partnered with the Digital Rose, and what we are planning to do is initially get 6 of the influencers, ranging from the beginners, like the girl in the sky high heels, the Truzo, the intermediate, which is the Tutorial Secrets and the Gourmet Runway, and the expert bloggers like Magali V and Style and More, which my wife has heard of, so it's good. Get them on the show and speak to them, and start with that and see how it goes, and then probably get more bloggers on. Would like to add anything more, Shona, on the partnership?
Yeah, I'm very excited about this because I strongly believe that any customer that guesses the target audience needs, wants, brand approach, or any other factors is simply stealing your money. So, via this 6-part series, the Digital Rose and the Entrepreneur Podcast really wants to assure brands that bloggers in India are smart, creative, passionate entrepreneurs by listening to them themselves,
Correct.
to actually hear what their thoughts are. That's why we divided it amongst beginner, intermediate, and experts. So you can understand how each of them is thinking. Therefore, that's how then it'll become easier for brands and PR agencies to approach them.
All right. So before I want to ask some few questions outside of work also. I mean, you've
What does that mean? Is there a life outside work for you? Just kidding.
I mean, like, you have done a startup before and now. So what are the challenges you've seen over time facing startups of starting something up in India?
I think right now it's not that hard. There are days when you get 3 hours of sleep, and there are days when you can sleep for 14 hours with nothing to do, But I think that's the excitement of entrepreneurship, and I think that's why someone gets into entrepreneurship. The uncertainty of where life is going to take you. If you're passionate about it, I think it's quite strong. What issues? I think the legalities of Indians becoming proprietorship are kind of iffy. There's no direct line or clear indications there, but it is improving. Prime Minister Modi is working very strongly at making sure that Indian entrepreneurs can actually go out there.
All right. And who would you say influenced you most in life?
I think my dad. I think that's a very cliched answer.
We have many answers to this question, so
I'll tell you why though, because it's thing. He worked very hard for 25 years, I'm going to say, to provide the best education for my brother and I. And then right when I graduated, I'm not even kidding, the day I graduated, he decided that I'm done working the 9 to 5, and he applied to his school, Harvard, and guess where my dad is right now? At Harvard studying.
Oh, wow. Seriously?
So, yeah, so this is a man who put every drop of blood to provide the best for his family. And when he was done, he was just like, now I'm going to take a year for myself.
Excellent. That's a first, definitely.
Yeah, that takes a lot of guts, especially in India when you're 55, 60. Yeah, kudos to him.
Absolutely. And what is some of the best advice you've been given over time?
I think the one that I strongly live by is honesty is the most powerful when you know no one's watching. And that's by my father again. And I think that's very important right now with the demonetization and the black money issue. But yeah, it's all about being ethical, knowing that when you sleep at night, your conscience is clear, and then you can do anything.
All right. And over the past few years, when did you know you were meant for entrepreneurship?
My parents say that it came from my nana, my grandfather. Yeah. But I always knew that I would find it very tough to work for someone else. Not because I'm stubborn or stuff like that, but I have a very logical reasoning to the way I'm behaving or the way that I'm putting a project across, which the other party might not understand.
Correct.
And I always come with clear instruction, like OCD almost to the detail. So I always knew that I have to do it on my own, or else it might be a pain for my boss if I show him up one too many times. And that happened one to two times.
Correct.
And they were just like, hey, you want to sit out this meeting? So now at the Digital Rose, I don't have to sit out any meetings.
Correct. And where do you see yourself and your business, let's say, in the next 2 to 3 years?
I am very ambitious. So I'm hoping that via the Digital Rose, the influencer marketing climate in India changes completely. It means more educated bloggers, and on the other end, better brand collaborations that the world speaks of. And hopefully the brands and the bloggers will do it through the Digital Rose.
All right. All the best with that. Finally, we come to a part of the show which is a quick fire round, simple, brief
Oh my.
answers. All right. So when people ask you, what do you do? How do you answer that?
Ask me what? I'm sorry.
When people ask you what you do, how do you answer that?
Oh, the auto driver asked me yesterday, and I was like, celebrities say, sell stuff through mini celebrities.
All right.
So that's,
First of all, you have guts to travel in auto in Bangalore. Anyway,
I don't think there's any better way to travel.
the traffic is just too much there. So when you think of the word successful, who is the first person that comes to mind?
I think different ways, monetary or in life. I think my dad,
Mhm.
or I would also say, no,
All right. Let's
I
go.
think my dad.
No problem. What do you excel at that people might not realize?
Finding the mistakes in the details.
Okay. And what is something you believe in that other people think is totally insane?
Being way too truthful for anyone's good.
And Shona's
Ethics.
greatest weakness?
Sona's greatest weakness is not being able to say no, I think.
And your favorite city globally?
New York.
Always. Same here.
Always.
And finally, any piece of advice that you want to give our aspiring listeners and founders?
I think I have just begun in this industry, but I strongly believe, and all your entrepreneurs who are listeners have been in this field for longer, and I think they'll absolutely agree that kindness goes a long way.
Correct.
Kindness goes a long way. Giving someone who you don't think is qualified 2 minutes of your time goes a long way. And because it surprised me.
Absolutely. Yep.
It surprised me when I spoke to a recent college graduate, and he just blew my mind. I was like, wait, how come I didn't think of that? And I could have totally missed him at the
Correct.
So kindness goes a long way.
Okay. Please let our listeners know how they can reach you and also the Digital Rose.
You can reach the Digital Rose at www.thedigitalrose.com.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can reach me at shona.sinha, SHONA.sinha, like the Sonakshi Sinha actress,
Okay.
at thedigitalrose.com.
All right. Again, Shona, thanks for taking the time to talk to us and inspiring our listeners to start your adventures. And all the very best at building and scaling the Digital Rose.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm very excited for this 6-part series.
Same
I think
here. Absolutely.
quite exciting.
So do visit thedigitalrose.com and visit us at theasianentrepreneur.com to get the show notes, and also please subscribe to the show on all the platforms and leave a review on your thoughts about the show. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. In the meantime, head over to theasianentrepreneur.com and check out show notes and other information to motivate you in your entrepreneurial endeavors.